What's up? What's up? This is SYLABDUL INC here for a special brew, the final special brew session, a very special episode. We have a couple guests as usual. First, want to shout out to the chat. Again, this is, as my name says, this is my last time in Studio X, off location. We're going to be back at our home base next time I see y'all very soon. But shout out to the chat, especially the Patreons who's been supporting my platform. The link is in the description. My Patreon is a place of hardcore production information and some cool conversation, as people have been finding out. That link's in the description. Also, the PayPal link for those who support my platform via PayPal. And YouTube has a super chat option, which we can utilize to pull up your comments as well. But before we get started, I want to get my first guest that was here. You know how people say the person needs no introduction? Actually, he does need an introduction here on my platform. If y'all watch his content, y'all know him as the original imagination connoisseur, the Duke of Dope Discourse, the Master of Fun and Wonder, Viceroy of Verisimilitude, the Sommelier of Sci-Fi and Cinema, Archbishop of Banterbury, the Chancellor of Cheerfulness, the Evangelist of Imagination, the existential Mr. Rogers, the Rob Caster himself. Let's get Meyer Burnett on this panel right now.
What an introduction. Thank you for that. No, it's good to be here. It's good to stream with you again. And yeah, it's funny. I just want to point out that all of those names were hung on me by other people. Everybody's got, I just got the icon of YouTube with adjacent artwork to that. I mean, it's crazy. But I feel like whenever somebody adds a name, it shows, like, by just stringing them out, it shows that I don't take myself too seriously. I mean, if I were to string those names out and act like, oh yeah, I believe in all of this, well, then I'd be a D-bag. But no, I think by stringing them out at the beginning of my Robservation shows, it lets people know that while I do believe in what I say, and I do try and bring my industry knowledge and fandom together in some kind of semblance of valuable discourse, I don't take myself too seriously. I'm not beyond laughing at myself because, right, like everyone, most people deserve to be laughed at least a little bit.
Especially on social media, right? And if people watch your channel, they know, like, you have little pictures and illustrations up as you're doing these names, right?
Which people have sent to me. That's the thing. Oh, yeah. I don't use any illustrations. All the illustrations I use, people have just made for me. Like John Campia called me the existential Mr. Rogers, which I still don't quite know what that means, but I thought it was hilarious. So I put it up there. I got a great piece of art. And like the Mark Chure, who was, I deemed him he once told me that he was a toxic fan, a self-described toxic fan. And I made him my official toxic fan of the channel because he was anything but. He recently passed away. And the drawing that I use was a drawing his sister found. And at his funeral, she'd asked one of my viewers who was there, who is this? And so his family made sure I got this drawing. And I'm like, I was so touched by it. I'm using it as when I say the evangelist of the imagination. And that's sort of my way to because I love it. Part of the whole thing in my channel is, I think what's different with me is I'm all about fan interaction. I think that we're building a community where the people who watch the show and participate and write me letters, they are just, I've often said, I'm throwing the party. Come to in my case, not a house, a channel, and I throw open the door. But it's everybody who comes that makes the party worthwhile, that makes the channel and my streams worthwhile.
Same here with this chat, and you'll see this is one of the best chats on social media right now. And let's get also the main troll maker himself, Mikey Sutton, is in the building. Toby Emmerich's new boss. What?
Wow, it's a great honor for me to be streaming with Mikey Sutton. I read Mikey Sutton I feel like every day, and not a day goes by. Man, I love your streams. You are the scoop. You're like it used to be like Rona Barrett, and then
Oh
of
my
course,
God, I remember her too.
if you go back farther, Hedda Hopper,
Oh wow, okay.
So I'm gonna, you're every time I read
Thank
something,
you so
I'm
much.
like, oh my God, really?
Well, what's
This is
funny
awesome.
is when I formed the Geekosity Facebook group 2 years ago, you were one of the first members, and I was like, no way, he can't, he
Awesome.
can't have one of his membership in here. And I went to your Facebook page. Oh my God, it's really him.
Yes,
It was really shocking because I loved you on Collider Talk. You and John Schnapp
oh, thank you.
were
Oh, that's
amazing
classic days right there. Yeah.
on that show. I mean, that's what really got me into watching YouTube regularly, was seeing you guys on there.
Same here.
I wouldn't have got, like, I had no plans to be on YouTube. And one, Schnepp calls me up and he's like, hey man, I'm doing this new show. It's on Collider.
Oh, that's so
and
awesome.
I'm like, to me, Collider was Frosty Skywalker. It was Frosty's website. And I wasn't familiar with the video component of it all. And I'm like, Schnepp, whatever you want me to do, I will come down and do it. And it was actually the 6th episode. Back then it was called AMC Heroes. It hadn't even transitioned over to Collider yet. And it was soon after I joined. I did the 6th episode of the show. And then I did the show for 3.5 years. And it was Schnepp. Schnepp was the first one who said, Rob, you're always so happy about everything. Why don't you should start your own YouTube show? And I'm like, really? And then my girlfriend Elizabeth bought me this microphone, and she was like, you should do a YouTube show. And I'm like, well, what it would be about? What would it? I don't know. And I just started doing it, and it sort of evolved. But I mean, I like Mikey. I like reading your stuff because I then look forward to seeing what's going to drop and when is this going to happen. And
thank you.
And it's also, I have to say, I appreciate you have a positive, like me. I think you're positive about all this stuff. Like you,
very, very much so.
You bring the love, man. You bring the love.
Well, you and I are very close in age to one another. I think you were born a year before I was, and I think we grew up on the same stuff. I grew up on Starlog.
Yep.
And Famous Monsters of Filmland and Fangoria.
And Cinefantastique. And
which I used to write for. I wrote for Cinefantastique in the 90s. And so before Frederick Clark sadly took his life.
Yes. I loved, to me, for those of you who might not remember this, Cinefantastique was, there was Starlog and Fangoria, which were the fun magazines, but Cinefantastique was the erudite magazine for people that would, and Fred Clark was always the contrarian, like Empire Strikes Back's terrible. but yet, I have, as a matter of fact, I have I have the first issue. I think Alan Arkin's on the cover. They didn't even know what they were going to be, and I was just looking at my Exorcist issue of Cinefantastique from 73.
Deep dives here, y'all. Deep dives.
So
we're gonna let y'all connect more. I want to address these super chats real quick, and I feel like I told Robert before we started, I feel like Lex Luthor and BVS, bringing people together. Right? we got love bringing people together. We got the super chat from Zod Rider. Rob, Zod Rider.
I love Zod Rider.
He brought us together. First time I met you. He said 2 of the best people on the internet. I'm sure he means 3 because it was before Mikey came on here, right? So he's including all of us together. Much love to Zod Rider. And then we got TiVo. Mikey knows him very well. The Collider Heroes with John Schnepp, definitely, and Burnett. The best.
You guys are incredible.
That was that. Like you said, Mike, that got me into YouTube. Literally, Schnepp and Burnett.
Oh, that's
together.
So
that was some
nice
of the best stuff.
It was fun. What was stuff? It was great because John really, truly was the king of the sweaties. He really loved all of that stuff. And there was and he knew even more so than me. He really knew his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it.
Oh man. And the thing I loved about Schnepp is when he saw I always remember when he saw the theatrical BVS, he knew that wasn't it. He knew it was something more. You know what I mean? So I respect him forever for that. But that he saw through the BS. Yeah. He knew it was a lot of meddling. So Schnepp for forever, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Think about Schnepp as well as one day I was watching Collider Talk and he started talking about 80s new wave bands. I was like, no way. He's into that, like psychedelic furs. I'm like, what? Am I hearing this?
No, that's something he and I also shared. I mean, it was growing up, since Mike, you'd understand this. I'm not going to be like, well, back in the day in the 80s. But I mean, there was something I've tried to explain this to people before. In the 80s, it was all kind of the same thing. It was movies, it was music, and pop culture. Like I always go back to Tony Scott's debut feature, The Hunger. And the Hunger opens with the band Bauhaus,
Bela
Peter
Murphy
singing Bela Lugosi's Dead, and like you had to be a Bauhaus fan or a goth music fan, and then you had to know that. Well, then they split apart, and then it became Tones on Tail, and then it became Love and Rockets, and you would have to know all these things and follow all of them, and like, oh yes, John Hughes used the Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven, which was actually where Haunted When the Minutes Drag came from, that album, that Love, and it was all part of the same thing. Like you had to know all of this stuff, and it was all, and then the mid 80s comic renaissance was all, so you're reading comics, you're going to the record stores, flipping through 12 inches at Tower Records, and then you're going to get the whatever. I was getting laser discs by then, and it all fed in, and it was such a great time because nobody would be like sure, when you went and saw Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. But when you went into it, you didn't go, this movie's gonna suck. There was nothing sucked until it did. And even when it
exactly. Yep. My attitude back then as well.
You'd go to everything going, this is gonna be awesome. And what people forget is like this summer of 82, actually it's
my God.
Going from mid-May to the end of June. I always like to say this. Here's what came out in a 6-week period. Conan the Barbarian, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Poltergeist, Tron, E.T., The Road Warrior, Blade Runner, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Jesus.
All of those in 6 weeks. I think Rocky 3 came out in that period of time too.
Yeah, it did.
And that was 6 weeks, man. So every time you go to the theater, I mean, Blade Runner and The Thing open on the same day. Yeah, just like Poltergeist and Star Trek 2 open on the same day. And then, we got The Road Warrior in the U.S. because it had already come out in the rest of the world. But I mean, you'd go to the movies and there was nothing sucked. Everything was just awesome and amazing.
Pop culture heaven right there.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah, I remember I saw Blade Runner on opening day. I'll never forget the experience. It was a half-empty theater. And I was like, this is not good. This is not good, It was the evening show, and the audience was dead silent throughout the film. It's like, I don't know what they were expecting. My mind was blown. I mean,
I grew up in Seattle, and my friend Mike Schertz and my friend Jolie, I think we were 15s or 14, so we couldn't get into an R-rated movie, but we're standing across the street from the Seattle's Cinerama, and we sent Jolie because no one says no to girls.
Yeah, and it was
we went to that first show, and it was in 70 millimeter, and Cinerama is a great theater, and in the theater they had a special Warner Brothers. I forget the name of the process, but they had a new process with which accentuated the bass, and so we go into this theater, and I mean, it was. And look, it was billed as like, well, if you like Raiders of the Lost Ark, which had come out the year before, Harrison Ford's back, Han Solo is back, Indiana Jones is back. But the opening of Blade Runner with Vangelis' score, oh
my God,
and we're sitting in the theater going, what? I mean, it was like the flames and the close up of the eye and the spinners and Douglas Trumbull's effects, and you're like, oh my God, man, I was blown away. You mentioned movie going experiences. One of the best I ever had was for The Thing. I didn't see it opening day. I saw it at a base theater in Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. Okay.
With a bunch of very macho GIs, right? They're like, this film's not gonna scare me, and they're all like, I can overhear the conversation, right? So it gets to the blood test.
Freaky.
The blood test scene, right? And there's dead silence in the crowd, And when the thing just jumped out of the blood, man, you hear screams all over the theater, like shit, you know.
Right,
Like,
the thing
you
killed
jumped
a
like
kid. Like that's
oh my god,
classic.
they totally lost their minds, right? And I was howling with laughter.
Let
All
me
these
catch
bunch
up
of
with these super
dudes,
chats.
like
Everyone's excited with everything y'all saying right now. I'm gonna catch up with these super chats, and we're gonna continue this conversation, this bromance that they're saying in the chat right now. Now we got Alex and Sarah with the $4.99 super chat. Says can't tell where all this is going. Talking about with the Emmerich and Warner Brothers. Is Snyderverse return or not? WB is like Golem at this point. Shout out. We're going to touch on Snyderverse later. We're going to get to it. We'll get to it. Danzig with the £2.99 super chat.
Oh,
I adore comic book shopping with Schnepp.
Yeah, that
awesome.
was great show.
I caught on very at the end of that, and like I said, Schnepp was like he's like a national treasure at this point. Like my goodness, so very cool. And the time you had with him, Robert, as well. Bat Dan with the $4.99 super chat. He says, breaking my doctor's order of limited screen time. See, Bat Dan's supposed to be bed rest right now, but he's here because of this lineup. He says, we'll never miss the series finale of a special brew. Shout out to you, but yeah.
I gotta know, is he okay? What happened to him? Why
he had a injury at work. It kind of got like a blow to the head. He's supposed to be resting right now, Batman. So please.
I was like,
rest.
did he have a porn addiction? That's why it's like, get off the screen. No more internet for you. What does that mean? Come on now.
I promise I won't go topless today.
So we have a super sticker here. Let me see. I gotta pull up a different screen again. He's sending a diamond. Cool. Okay. Cool. Hey,
that's
gotcha.
I streamed with her. I met her for the first time over the weekend. She was on my Midnight Metal show. She was delightful.
Gotcha. Well, hey, come back to the next show. Appreciate you being here today. So let's kind of get into, because I want to get let's see. Rob, you started something. But I want to get Robert Meyer Burnett's comments on these. There's a couple articles today. Now on my channel, Rob, we talk a lot of Warner Brothers and hardcore DC.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Hamada, Emmerich, and all this stuff, right? So before we actually get to this article, I was telling you previously that one of the big videos I think the fandom really looked to you when Emmerich was blocking the series idea for the Snyder Cut. That was a major story. That was a major video you did, and I leaked some views off of that, as I told you.
All good. We're all one big happy fleet, as Khan said in The Wrath of Khan.
Very awesome stuff. When you came out with that, like I'm pretty sure you had the clearance to kind of put out there what you were told, right, about Toby blocking basically Zack Snyder. Like, how did that come about?
Well, there is somebody that I consult who I consider to be, let's call him a very well-connected and very, very successful industry person, who, by the way, sought me out, found me on, and he actually, the reason I found him was he corrected something I said that was incorrect. It wasn't that it was incorrect. I had just glossed over something, and I didn't believe it was him. When I first got this, I'm like, come on. And then I wrote back, and it turned out, yes, indeed, it was this person. And I have mad respect for this person. And then we just started talking, and he started picking my brain about certain things, and we still are talking. We still, this relationship has been ongoing, but he has given me a lot of insight into things. And he pointed out some stuff like to me, he explained that like it was Toby Emmerich's idea to open things day and date in movie theaters. And I think here's what I, and also he also taught, I don't know if I said this, but apparently he's not a fan. The Toby Emmerich is not a fan of producer Chuck Roven. And Chuck Roven produces a lot of the Warner Brothers. And it's not, maybe he's not a fan, but Chuck Roven is extremely well paid. And he began producing these large, big budget superhero films for Warner Brothers before Toby Emmerich was in the position he was in, and would like to find a way to get rid of him because he's expensive. And so he was telling me all of these things, and it was just interesting because I think what people don't understand about someone like Toby Emmerich is very much a man who you have to respect because I think he's produced 110 movies or something. He even wrote the movie Frequency that stars Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel.
Movie.
It was a good movie. And when he was at New Line, he wrote that movie. And so, and he's been in the business been part of New Line, and he was there when Lord of the Rings was made and all that. And he really is somebody to be respected. But the problem is he now is in an industry that is in tremendous flux. And the studios who are stuck making tentpole movies, they're not the studio. If the studio wants to make some, I don't know, if they wanted to make The Queen's Gambit, for instance, that was the great streaming series on Netflix earlier this year. They can't make it because the studios now, they're corporate minders. They're all like, well, what they want to make movies that cost $150 million to $200 million, and then they want to make $1 billion. That's the business the studios have found themselves in. But the problem with that is you get to make less and less films with less and less diversity. And when I say diversity, I'm talking about subject matter. You can't go back and make you can't go back and make a $30 million movie, because even if a $30 million movie does well and you market it, it's going to make, unless you make, like, for instance, I don't know, a Joker that costs $65 million or something, and it makes that, but those are few and far between. Nobody thought that movie was going to make $1 billion. There's no way. There's no analytics. Yeah. But so I think Toby Emmerich wants to be what he always wanted to be, which is make lots of movies. And the problem is, he's doing anything. He was trying to find relevance. And I think, where could he go at Warner Brothers? He's running Warner Brothers, him and Walter Amada. And what's he going to do? Yeah. And I think he was trying to make a bid to go. All the action is at the streaming services because they're making all kinds of things. And they can do all kinds of different things. And let's face it, Warner Media was taken over. Jason Kilar is the man now.
It was timing too, Robert, right? I mean, it was COVID, Yes. That's what helped that whole thing. Right?
Yeah. And I think that also because Warner Media, Jason Kilar is like, well, if fans want to see Snyder Cut, let's make it. What's the problem?
All right.
Like what a good idea, Whereas the Warner Brothers people are like, you already have one deposed regime. Now you have a new regime that's taken it over, and they're trying to figure out. Well, they want to take credit for. We want to take credit for $1 billion for Aquaman and $1 billion for the Joker, and we're going to make And I think, again, this is now I'm talking out of my ass. This is my only opinion. My opinion. But
that's all we need you to do here. That's okay.
Yeah, but I would say that. And Mikey could probably back me up on this. The problem was Warner Brothers is almost literally across the street from Disney. You can go down Hollywood Way and turn on Alameda, and there's Disney. It's literally you can walk it in 10 minutes.
You can walk there.
So you're looking. Warner Brothers is looking over at Marvel, thinking, how do we do that? And no one ever gets successful in Hollywood chasing or copying what someone else is doing. All the great success in Hollywood is when people have forged their own path.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers, I mean, it would be like saying that every cop movie is the same. But sometimes you get Serpico, sometimes you get Prince of the City, sometimes you get Beverly Hills Cop. They're all different movies, even though they all have cops in them. They're all different kinds of movies. You got to figure it out. Like what kind? Yeah. So everyone's like, all superhero movies are the same. So Warner Brothers is like, we got to do what Marvel's going to do. Except you know what? We're not going to take the time to build it. We're just going to we'll make Man of Steel, and then we'll make BVS.
Let's fast track this shit.
Yeah, we'll put Wonder Woman in. Why not do the Death of Superman while we're at it? Let's put in Doomsday, and then Luther, and because that'll work, right? Fuck no, it's not going to work. And because I don't want to take the time. I mean, look at the grosses of Captain America, the First Avenger, and Thor and Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man made half $500 million, but Captain America didn't. I don't want to make a movie that makes 300. I want to get that Avengers cheddar, and that's what they're looking without doing the work.
Right,
and they figure we've got Superman and we've got Batman. No, man, you still have to make a good movie.
Build up.
Great characters
Yeah.
and great story.
that kind of leads me back to the 80s again. And one thing I was thinking about the past couple of months was that in the 80s we didn't have that many sequels.
No.
Right? I mean, it's like we had the Star Wars franchise, which we had 3 films, and that was it.
And then ended in 83, and you're done.
Yeah, you're done. We had Superman up until the third one didn't do that well, and they kind of gave up after that already. I mean,
and then you got Canon Films making the 4th one. From the director of Iron Eagle, come Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
I mean, if you think about it, like most of the sequels in the 80s were horror films, like Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I'll fight people.
Halloween,
Superman 4 was a good movie. I'll fight anybody about that. All right, that's
John Carter's a great Lex Luthor. I had to say that.
Yeah, but with the thing about Toby Emmerich, I mean, I'm sure that as a man who's produced over 100 movies, that he wants to work at a place where they're making all kinds of things, and going to a streamer, he can oversee ongoing series, he can oversee limited series, he can oversee documentaries. There's a lot more that he can do.
About Superman 4. Quest for Peace was a guilty pleasure. Y'all cannot convince me anyway. Well, okay, so Toby, I know
we all have our guilty pleasures.
Right, I derailed the conversation.
I like Revenge of the Nerds Part
2. With Toby Emmerich, like I said, Robert, like you came up with that story about he was at the precipice of this shift, right, in Hollywood streaming, but he didn't elect to streaming as far as series for the Snyder Cut. And you came up with that story. You said that he actually didn't want to redo any contracts. Like, was it just more business in that situation?
Yeah,
I kind of blocked that.
Yeah, I think that's part of really what happened, because what people don't understand is Justice League was this is from a business standpoint, a contractual standpoint, how business in Hollywood is done. Yeah. Justice League was a finished project. It was done. It was released. It came out. And the way the apparatus works, you've got the Directors Guild of America. Now, the Writers Guild, the SAG. So you've made a movie and it's essentially finished. Now, people would say, well, Rob, Zack Snyder has multiple cuts of a lot of his movies. There's a director's cut of Dawn of the Dead. There's a director's cut of 300. There's a director's cut of Sucker Punch. And there's 3 different versions of Watchmen. But those are still just iterations of the same movie.
I'm getting attacked here.
They're whereas a Snyder cut of Justice League would be a whole different thing. It would have a different copyright. So it wouldn't be a new iteration of the Justice League that came out. It would be a whole new thing. Now, if you were going to do a series, suddenly you now have 4 episodes. Well, then they'd have to renegotiate contracts because of SAG rules. Okay, it's 4 separate episodes. That's 4 different. You got to pay people 4 times.
Yeah.
So
she Cavill. That's a sticking point.
It's a whole different thing. So what are you going to do? And I have to say, he wasn't wrong, because one of the things that they would have had to have done, one of the things that I marvel at, and I wish we would hear the story of how this went down, is we know from the Warner Brothers, the Warner Media people, that when Jason Kilar went and decided that they wanted to do this, one of the first things they would have to go do is renegotiate contracts with people. Because you've got actors that never appeared in the finished Justice League. They had the footage, but they hadn't appeared in the movie. How would that work? And other people would you allow this to come out? I mean, they'd have to. Remember, the Snyder Cut still cost. They say $70 million. I'll bet it was more than that. I mean, you will never know. But it was. And if you think about it. 4 hours long, Condor Man is not better than
Superman. They're coming for me, man.
It's not better than
Superman 4 is my guilty pleasure. I don't care what TiVo has to say.
But one of the things people don't realize is with the Justice League, with Snyder's cut, it's 4 hours long, which means there's a lot more of it. That's why Deborah Snyder herself said 2,600 plus visual effect shots had to be finished.
Yeah.
Wow. That is, to give people perspective, there's only 300 visual effect shots in Tenet. And
That's
I mean,
insane.
that's insane. And they had to do it in less than a year. She said 6 months. So the work was enormous. The work that had to be done on the Snyder Cut was enormous. I mean, Zack had his cut. The cut basically, but it wasn't finished. And what I was saying, and people like, oh, Rob, you used to say there was
that was our last fight, Robert. Yeah,
I know. And I'm like, look, there's a cut of every movie. You can say there's a cut, but I'm like, I was saying, I'll bet there's $50 to $100 million worth of work to do. And indeed, there turned out to be that way. But when it was frustrating. No, it's done. I'm like, no, it's not done. If it was done, they would have released it, and they never would have.
Well, you were saying the VFX needed to be, which is true. The VFX needed to be done.
Yeah.
For the Snyder cut. That's what you was standing on. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, the movie the Joss Whedon's movie was a little 2 hours. Well, knowing you have a 4-hour film, it's like that's twice as many at least, just the length alone. And the length alone would mean that you have to do a whole new sound mix. Where's that new 2 hours of music going to come? Oh, we've got to compose that music. All of that stuff had to be done, and it wasn't done. People like, no, Junkie XL finished the score. I'm like, no guy finishes 4 hours of music. He's got to write. And so it was just. I mean, look, I think it's a huge win for the Snyder Cut movement. What the fans were able to do. And if they didn't, without vocal fandom, this never would have happened. And it was a big win.
Yeah.
And so
that's what Zack said too. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, coupled with the fact that, say what you want, Zack Snyder, his trolling on social media, getting out pictures, putting out my favorite.
Was that really trolling, Robert? Was that trolling?
Oh, dude,
or was that promotion?
Yeah. It was masterful trolling. I loved
promotion.
It was my favorite was when he put the picture of the film cans that said Justice League, the Snyder Cut or whatever. Yeah. As if there's a cut film.
It was done.
As if there was ever going to be.
Done. It was in there.
I mean, that was so. I loved that. That was my favorite thing. I just was like, I had mad respect for Zack Snyder because he's like, well, look at this artwork, and like, what was anybody going to say to him? It's like Ryan Reynolds going, I have no idea how that Deadpool test footage got released to the internet.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that was hilarious.
That was a new level of like how you promote this stuff now. Social media leaks. I want to address this real quick. Robert Conrad. Robert, I don't know if you know Robert Conrad. I'm not sure, but he's a big imagination connoisseur.
Boom.
There we go. He did a drop the mic sticker just for you. With what you said recently about the whole Toby Emmerich situation. Let's transition this because Robert, I know we have you for a short amount of time. I want to get your take because people want to know what you have to say about this article with Toby Emmerich, right? So
this article, I hadn't seen it because I've been streaming, but I'm reading it. It's what a crazy article.
Crazy stuff, right? So
it's crazy.
Let's go to the main point.
It's written by Kim Masters too, who interviewed.
Kim Masters is my new favorite journalist right now, right? So with the Hollywood Reporter. So she said David Geffen is doing some back channel negotiations, right? Now David Geffen, he seems like a little slithery dude. Like he's kind of like all in the back channels, floating ideas. What do you say, Robert?
Look, as a producer, I mean, David Geffen as a music producer is a legend. I mean, this guy knows everyone. I mean, remember back in 1983, David Geffen's company produced Risky Business, which was Tom Cruise's first real breakout, unless you include things like The Outsiders and Taps and movies like Losing It. But Risky Business was the great breakthrough that Cruise had. That was a Geffen film. David Geffen is a legend.
He's
in
entrenched
music and film.
In all this world. Yeah,
and he knows everybody. If he wants to get Machiavellian on your ass, he will. Like he can call anybody and do anything. And I'm sure he and Toby Emmerich go way, way, way back. And and it's like, look, Toby Emmerich he's a very, very, very experienced person. He is a producer. He's got, as I said earlier, look him up on the IMDb. Look at his producing credits. I mean, the guy's beyond reproach.
Yeah. He has a track record. Yeah.
But what happened was he's been working his way up a Hollywood system that is in the middle of an enormous sea change. Whereas the studios have to fight. Studios don't have the money they have to borrow money to make movies, and they have to look for other production partners. You look at Paramount, they've got Skydance, and then they've got Alibaba or whatever. They got people in Dubai. I mean, they're financing movies all over the world now. The studios have to because they don't have the cash. Whereas Netflix, how much money do you want for the Knives Out sequels? Here's $500 million. Make 2 Knives Out sequels. That's a good idea, right? Because they've got their subscription, but they're making their own money. You know, it's not like Netflix has to team up with anyone. So, and if Toby Emmerich fails, then where's he going to go? He's already worked his way up to the head of, at Warner Brothers. There's nowhere for he'll get a production deal where then he's kind of back to, well, now I've got to figure out, I've got to get the studio I used to work at green light my movies now. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to go is to a streamer.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
A little trivia here. Geffen also signed a band from my backyard called Nirvana. Back in 1990.
No one's questioning Geffen's musical acumen here. But these little back channel deals with these movie studios, it's a little slithery, Mikey.
But I mean, he's but he, David Geffen.
It's a music industry, so they're all slithery there. Trust me.
They're worse than the film business.
They are. No, they slither. They slime and everything else. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just when it comes to and I think what people if you look at wow, I mean, just as a actually David Geffen doesn't have as much. He produced like Interview with a Vampire. He interviewed a Little Shop of Horrors.
It's been a while since he really did anything film industry.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But he's a guy that was, he's financed so many things and knows so many people, and
he likes try to network and try to I'll put a word in for you and you kind of owe me one. Because I put a word in for you, right? So as I said here in the article, and I'm gonna get to the super chat in a moment too, Robert. But it says Geffen and Emmerich. There was a guest at Jimmy Iovine's party dinner recently this year. So you see the connection that Geffen kind of networks with people in the industry, right? But Danzig has a £4.99 super chat. It says, shout out to the chat. Robert, what are your thoughts on Mikey's reports on the Snyderverse continuing on HBO Max? Do you want to see more? Great show still. Thank you, Dan. But so Robert, he put you on the spot right now, right? So he's saying you've been watching Geekosity's articles about the Snyderverse returning. What do you have to say, Robert, about that?
Well, I look, for me, the thing that I want to see first and foremost is the Deathstroke, the Terminator, Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Yeah. Same
and I honestly believe that could actually happen. And when I look at something, you always have to think, when it comes to Hollywood, you have to think from a business standpoint. How is this going to make money? How much is this going to cost? And how are they going to make money from it? And the thing is, Ben Affleck obviously he's 4 films for Warner Brothers, and he's looking great. He seems to be in a great headspace now, and he's won Best Picture for the Warner Brothers once. They already had that Deathstroke script and Batman script. And that's the kind of movie that I think could get made, because Ben Affleck could make it for a price. You could make a Deathstroke Batman movie and you don't have to spend $200 million. As a matter of fact, the thinking should be that let's make it for $95 million.
Or less.
Or even less. I mean, and treat it as a crime thriller kind of a movie. And Ben Affleck certainly has the chops as a director to do that. The problem that I see with when people say continue the Snyderverse, it really means continuing the story that was begun with Snyder's Justice League. Everybody wants to see that multi-part story about the final battle with Apocalypse, and hell, I do. I love the Fourth World, and I would love to see it spin off into a New Gods movie. If they did that, they canceled Anna DuVernay's New Gods film, which is probably for the best, but I still want to see. I want to see a New Gods movie. And Anna DuVernay is, I think, a very talented filmmaker. Like, I love her documentary, The 13th, or 13. That was an incredible documentary.
Selma was awesome.
Selma was awesome. I'm a little less enthused with A Wrinkle in Time.
Everyone is, Robert.
Yeah. And I just never thought that her. See, I think what's really interesting now is Hollywood's going through a transitional time, in that Everybody wants to make sure everyone's represented and everybody gets a shot at the cake or whatever. But that doesn't mean everyone is experienced enough to direct tentpole films for a studio.
That's the point. That's the point right there. It's like, you know, it's great to have everyone have a shot, but like, hey, can you take on this task? Can you write a good story? Can it translate to the big screen? That's what I care about. The story. You can put all the diversity all you want, but I want a good story at the end of the day. So, yeah, go ahead.
My rule of thumb in life is I call it the Burnett axiom. At first, it was never put your universe before your story and characters, like they did with the Dark Universe. They're like, we're going to make a Dark Universe. God. Here's everybody we've hired: Russell Crowe and Johnny Depp. and then, oh, good job. You want Alex Kurtzman to lead the way. That was genius. And then you get the Mummy, and that so much for the Dark Universe. You can't think that way. Just like DC, Warner Brothers is like, we're going to make the Avengers. We're going to just do it right off the bat. And like, no, you have to make a franchise is built on a single successful property. Once you have a single successful property, you build from there. You don't just assume things are going to be successful. You got to earn it. And I think all of the great franchises, if you look at them, like George Lucas never really ultimately sat down. He didn't even think Star Wars was going to work. He lit off to Hawaii with Steven Spielberg thinking, oh, what have I done? What have I done, Steven? I don't know. And luckily, you know what? Suddenly Die Hard would come out 11 years later. But can you imagine at the end of the time they were spending in Hawaii? I bet George Lucas was thinking, here we are sitting on a beach collecting 20%. Just like Hans Gruber said in Die Hard. If you got those bearer bonds. But that, I mean, it would have been, but he didn't know when Star Wars was going to open. They didn't know. And then suddenly, time for, let's make Splinter of the Mind's Eye, nope, let's make Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it was, so you don't know. And I think that, and another thing is that people forget, Kevin Feige worked on 13 Marvel movies before Iron Man.
There's only one Kevin Feige. There is. He's not gonna. That's
And people.
What I keep hearing about him, and we actually see it play out in real life, is incredible patience.
Yep.
He's not going to throw somebody into the films just because he's popular. He's going to wait it out and to see if it makes sense thematically and through the story arcs that he's got planned for 20 years from now.
Right.
It's insane.
Well, I mean, let me ask you, Mikey. I mean, obviously you're connected. You're talking to people.
Yeah.
I think we're in the midst of a fan backlash against Marvel.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing to me after getting everyone's like, they're watching WandaVision and now Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I thought, while not perfect, they had to do a lot of reshooting. It was their first out of the gate show. WandaVision ended up debuting first. But I thought that Falcon and the Winter Soldier did what great science fiction and fantasy does, which is it can examine modern social issues through the prism of an action adventure sci-fi concept. And I think the idea of Sam Wilson assuming the mantle of Captain America and also dealing with race in America and meeting Isaiah and Carl Lumley, I thought was terrific. I would love to have seen more of him. I mean, I would have, if I had made that show, I would have added an extra episode and done a side story into his journey as America's first super soldier or second super soldier.
That's a series of itself right there.
Yeah, I mean, and the whole thing and what happened. I mean, it was so. But I think that like people were like, "Oh, the show is too woke for me." I'm like, this is not woke.
No, I'm saying woke.
I thought this was a legitimate. I mean, the idea of Captain America is he was created to fight Nazis in the first place. He's called Captain America. Captain America Winter Soldier is a thinly veiled evisceration of our surveillance culture and the fact that we're losing our privacy and what does it all mean and within the context of a superhero movie. And I thought the fact that you had Sam Wilson who was saying, you know what, this country is imperfect. and I understand,
Yep.
but I'm going to stand up for it. And Isaiah is like, this country sucks.
Right.
They hate me. You know,
that was
this
a
is
great
not.
economy to that. Like that was like,
I mean,
Sam took that and he was like, it's imperfect, but I'm gonna make what I can of it. I thought it was a great. Yeah,
that was great. And now, if you want to have a discussion about race in America, you have two black men on either side of the divide, and
we've
one
never
of them
seen that before.
No, and one of them has seen how terrible America can be. You know, Isaiah got the worst, whether it was the Tuskegee experiments. He was wronged by his own country over and over and over again. He should be bitter and angry because he's seen one face of America.
He's been through it.
He's been through it, and no one can take that away from him. We screwed those people. Why? America's own black soldiers returning from World War II. This is true. They couldn't avail themselves of the GI Bill. You know, the way, and the GI Bill built middle-class America in the 50s. If black soldiers coming back from America could have been given, or coming back to America from the European or the Pacific theaters, if those black soldiers could have had the GI Bill, they could have gone to school, they could have owned businesses, they could have created generational wealth, they could have changed the face of black America. But no, they fought for the United States, and they came back, and this country effed them.
They weren't given the tools at all.
Nope.
After fighting for the country.
And this is reality. This isn't my political leanings. This isn't. This is actual historical
history.
Fact.
Right.
It's history, and that historical fact. You know, that's something that when you're reckoning with that in a show about an American soldier, which is Captain America in World War II. And what does Kevin Feige do? He goes, you know what? The truth, that comic that came out in 2003, we got to incorporate that. And he goes back and he takes, everyone's like, well, it's, you know, he's just trying to, no, man, he's going back into Marvel Comics history.
Exactly.
Everything. And that comic was revolutionary dealing with these subjects. And he's basing it all on previous Marvel Comics history.
Right. And, well, shout out to Marcus Spellman, the show writer.
Oh my God.
Of Falcon and Winter Soldier, because he put that in there. Like he put his foot in it, right? And that was great to see Sam Wilson as that new generation guy to say, well, I haven't experienced that. Like, educate me. You know, that was such a great dichotomy to that.
Yeah, the other thing I like too is that Sam Wilson was like, okay, I see your viewpoint. I empathize with what you went through. But I'm going to be Captain America anyway.
I'm going to make my own future. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. You know.
But I mean,
that's a very powerful moment.
And not only that, looking to the past and being angry. If you go back far enough, human beings have been horrible to each other since we came out of the trees.
Yeah.
We're a bad bunch of folks.
Yeah.
However, we can be a good bunch of folks too. I mean, do you want to go back and talk about what the Japanese did to the Chinese during the rape of Nanking during World War II? How far back do you want to go? How were immigrants treated in New York City? How were Italian immigrants treated? How were Irish immigrants treated? I mean, do you want to go back and look at the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland themselves? I mean, there wasn't even a racial issue. It was a belief issue, and people were killing each other. So the only way that we can move forward as a race, because there is one race of people on this planet, we have different ethnic differences, but there's one race of people, and the only way to move forward is to not look behind us and go, but what about what happened to my ancestors however many damn years ago? We're never going to get anywhere.
Make it right now. That's the point.
And I think and look what Falcon and Winter Soldier says in the case of Sam Wilson. He says, no, I am going to make a better future. I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to go forward and I'm going to lead the way. And he does. And what is a more positive message that you want to get from a Captain America than that? I'm going to go forward. And even though I come from a minority that is still profiled, that cops still harass, even right now, and in this country, yes, it's divisive, but it's what's happening. But Sam Wilson says, no, I'm going to go forward.
It's a good snapshot.
I'm going to embody what I believe America can be, and what I think all Americans in their heart of hearts want to be. And the reality is, there are Americans that do not. There are Americans that want to deport. I mean, I live in California, where a predominant, if we didn't have immigration from over our southern border, there would not be many, many, many wonderful people that make the Southern California economy or the Arizona economy or the Texas economy grow. There are so many people here that have immigrated to the United States, like so many other people in the history of this country, to make a better life. They're not all immigrant drug dealers that are sneaking over the border. You have, and yet there are people that don't want any immigration. But the fact is, you know, to see what they did with Falcon, and was it done perfectly? No, because it was a rocky start for the MCU, and there's a lot of stuff that was a little, you know, what exactly do the Flag Smashers want? I mean, originally it was like a pandemic they were dealing with.
Well, that's the original story.
I think they were going to do the Jack Kirby mind bomb thing, and
then they had to redo it because of the COVID pandemic.
It didn't land. The Flash Smashers didn't land in the end, but that's the biggest flaw of the series, I think. That storyline. I want to before you have to leave, Robert, because I know you're in a tight time schedule, right? But with this Toby Emmerich article is basically, according to Hollywood Reporter, they're saying Geffen reportedly reached out to Netflix to try to bridge Toby Emmerich to Netflix, right? His contract's up in 18 months. Toby Emmerich is Warner Brothers. People are taking this as a marketing ploy, like as a negotiation ploy. You know, had some privy information close to Toby Emmerich recently. I don't know if you heard anything about Toby Emmerich wanting to jump ship or otherwise, or have you actually, seen this article, talking about this?
Well, you brought it up to. I just hadn't looked at the Hollywood Reporter today because I've been streaming and I did John Campia's show this morning, and then I jumped onto my stream. So I just saw this before the look. This is how Hollywood works. At this level, these back channels, having somebody like, if David Geffen, he's kind of like Vito Corleone when Johnny Fontaine wanted to be in that movie. And Vito Corleone and goes to sends Tom Hagen to go visit Waltz out in California, and he'll never get in that movie. And of course, you make him an offer he can't refuse. You cut off his prize horse's head and stick it in his bed, and then you make the deal. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but someone like David Geffen wields a whole lot of power because, I mean, he started DreamWorks with Steven Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg. I mean, this is a guy that is one of the most powerful people still alive in entertainment. Everyone knows him. He's very well liked. And when David Geffen wants something, people listen. People take his calls like right away. And I think, and probably he's been dealing with Toby Emmerich for 3 decades.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And look, for me, a guy like Toby Emmerich, he should be at a place where he's going to be utilized. He is the kind of guy, he's fought his way up. He's one of the most qualified people at a studio that exists in Hollywood right now. There are very few, you could probably count them on one hand, how many people have his experience, both as a studio head and as a producer and as a filmmaker. There's very few people like him. So landing it at Netflix, which is now the de facto leader. I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, the streamers have supplanted the studios.
Yeah.
Because the studios still have to go figure out, well, how are we going to pay for this? Whereas the streamers, like, I know how we're going to pay for it because every month people give us $15 and we have 200 million subscribers.
$17 now. I got the 4K.
17, yeah. That's a lot of money every month. When you can cash flow that money to have that money coming in your coffers every month, you're doing pretty well. It's pretty good. 200
million subscribers worldwide. So Robert, I know you have to leave. All right. So I appreciate you being here, chopping it up with Mikey Sutton and myself. We're going to do this again very soon, Robert. Hopefully, definitely we'll work that out.
Well, it was a great honor to be on your show. Thanks for having me. And Mikey, it was great to finally speak with you. I'm a big fan. And your website, Geekosity, is a great website.
Thank you. Huge fan of yours as well.
Keep up the amazing work.
Yeah, we should do an episode about the history of geek cinema. That would be a huge blast.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Because there's so much to go over. Like, I was just thinking about when Alan Ladd greenlit Star Wars. I think it's one of the biggest decisions ever made in history. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah, but that it was amazing.
That was a big risk,
By the way, somebody said Ash79 says, so Robert just came to praise Toby Emmerich and preach MCU love. Okay, here's what I would like people to understand. When I come at these things, I'm trying to think of them from an industry perspective.
Yeah.
Not whether I like them or not as a fan, but just from an industry perspective. Now, Toby Emmerich is somebody that in the motion picture business, he demands respect. Now, you might not like his decisions because of something he might have done with the Snyder Cut.
And I don't personally, but yeah,
he has decades worth of experience, you know, and if you take the Snyder Cut out of the equation, you have to ask yourself, is Toby Emmerich somebody to be respected? And my answer to that would be yes. And I would say, like, the MCU, whether you are an MCU fan or not, it is unprecedented in Hollywood history what Marvel Studios has been able to do.
Oh yeah, you can't discount that.
And that's all I'm saying. I mean, I think the MCU is up and down, but for the most part, the quality there, that overall, I mean, we talk about, they look at the Superman. We got Superman the movie, great. Superman 2, pretty good. Superman 3, I don't know what. And then you get to Superman 4. I mean, so
hey, hold on, Robert. Hold on. Superman 4.
so four Superman movies in 9 years, not exactly a great track record. But if you look at Marvel's track record, they made 23 movies all the way to the end of Far From Home. Now, if you average out, each one grossed $1 billion on the average.
And everyone's chasing them. I mean, people got to realize everyone's chasing the Marvel formula. Like, let's not even get that twisted. Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm a lifelong DC fan. My favorite superhero team when I was a kid was, and always will be the Justice League of America. I lived for Justice League comics because every year they would have a team up with the Justice Society of America. And that was my favorite comic event of the year, when the Justice Society and the Justice League would team up.
Every summer. It was the greatest.
It was the greatest. And I saw Justice League, and I was like ready to scoop my eyeballs out with a teaspoon. I was like, I'm like, how did this happen? I'm like, how do you? And I will say this: when I finally saw, like, Schnepp, the Ultimate Edition of, like, I was always a big defender of Man of Steel. I really love Man of Steel, and I was talking to people. I said, whether you like Zack Snyder's work or not, he has a mythic quality that he has brought to the DC heroes that I don't think
DC.
I don't think any other filmmaker is capable or would go that direction. People would try and bring it back down to earth. Like, I like Christopher Nolan's Batman movies a great deal, but he's not making it mythic. He's making them like crime thrillers.
Very grounded.
Yeah, he's looking at Michael Mann's Heat to make The Dark Knight. Whereas Zack Snyder is looking at the gods of Mount Olympus. And what you're seeing is something, and I saw this in the ultimate edition of BVS, where I was watching. I'm like, my God, these are gods at war.
God,
and like the same thing he brought to 300 and what he brought to Watchmen and all that. He's got this mythical way of telling stories, and for me, he looks at Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman the same way that I looked at them when I was a kid. These were Olympic gods, and he portrays them that way, and I love that. And
and I think do you remember when Alan Moore was running Swamp Thing?
Oh, you
and
do.
he had the JLA in there. He wrote them as gods, and that's how he wrote them. Like, he's in awe of them. And I never thought about it before until I read that. I was like, oh my God, they are gods, Yep. And I think Zack Snyder, because he's a huge Alan Moore fan, I think subconsciously he may have picked up on that.
Oh,
because,
No,
that's how he portrays them,
It's awesome. And what I really love too is, like, the difference between when Wonder Woman rescues the hostages or the victims at the museum from one version of Justice League to the other. It's subtle, but it's enormous. And I love the way Snyder handled it. And the guy's a visual stylist, and it's really it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And Robert, before you leave, as far as with the Snyder Cut in general, just how did you take that as a Zack Snyder project, personally?
I loved it. I mean, I really, you know, I can see from an editor, being an editor myself, you could have tightened it up. You know, there are scenes like, for instance, I'll give you an example. When
Don't say the song.
Well,
Go ahead.
the only thing that I would have done is, what I would have done is because when Aquaman goes off into the water, he is a god to these people.
Yes.
They're singing a hymn. You know, it's like they're like in church when she's going away. I would have say cut the scene a little earlier and let the hymn roll over more, so you see Martha Kent. You know, and I would have just changed that transition. But that's, and those, it's just subtle things. But for the most part, I mean, I really, really liked it a lot. And Granny Goodness.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm like,
first live action Granny Goodness.
I'm like, come on. Because I love the fourth world. I mean, if there was the black racer who's on skis, you know, the fourth or the
that
like,
would be incredible.
I would have lost my shit if
that wouldn't have been fair. That wouldn't have been fair at that point, though.
I mean, you know, like we saw when Darkseid, when we first see him with his the axe buried in his, it would have been great to see the black racer come out and just go, I don't know, dude, I don't know if you're gonna make it. Here we are. So but seeing all that stuff and the mythic nature of all of it was, I loved it. I mean, if you look at the Snyder cut of Justice League now, there is no other superhero movie that's ever going to be remotely similar to it ever again.
No,
it is unique.
Yeah,
and I think the feel of it is unique, and that's something that should be celebrated.
Yeah, that should be praised. That should definitely be praised.
Be praised, and let people. And you know what? If it wasn't for Warner Media, and if it wasn't for Jason Kilar and his new group of people, it never would have happened.
Yep. Exactly.
I want to see. I still want to see Jimmy Olsen hang out with the Forever People,
dude. How great would that be?
Not in the Snyderverse.
I would totally lose it.
I know, right? Not in the I mean, people forget the fourth world was Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. I mean, it was in this nothing comic that Jack Kirby turned into something essential. I mean, I've got the fourth world omnibus, right? It's like this big. It's amazing.
That's wild. But Robert,
I thought it was cool that Kirby wanted to go on a book that wasn't selling. He didn't want to get anybody fired because of him. Really, first class guy.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, Robert, I know you got to get out of here, right? So I know you have a stream coming up. Everyone, check out the Burnett work. I fashion myself as, you know, a lesser version of Robert Meyer Burnett, so I appreciate you.
There are no lesser versions of one another.
Hopefully in the future.
I hope we do it again. We've got to do this again.
We got to.
Yes,
we got to. It's too much fun.
All right, gentlemen.
It's going to happen.
I will see you all later.
Appreciate it, Robert.
See you.
All right. So that was pretty cool,
that was
Mikey.
So much fun, man. What an honor that was to be. Man.
He's such a big fan of Geekosity, and he's been praising it.
What an honor! What an honor! You know, I was such a huge fan of his and Schnepp on Collider Talk. Just to have him say those words, it means everything to me, man. It really does.
Yes. And people don't know, like the last couple, like at least a month or two, like we've been catching, like people will send us video of, hey, Robert Burnett is like praising Geekosity. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Like,
that's
wow.
pretty cool.
It's a surreal existence we live in. So,
so awesome. So we're gonna get through this Toby Emmerich article, and then we're gonna get into that. That elephant in the room, the Black Superman,
the big announcement too, the big announcement.
And then we're gonna get to that as well. Yeah, I forgot about that, right?
And then a scoop,
And we'll do the scoop first, then the announcement. I think that's how we'll.
Have we got 100 likes yet?
I don't know. Let's see. We gotta check
likes, right? Come on. Bring out the likes.
Where are we at right now with the like? Okay, we're way past 100 likes. So they took care of their angle, right? Let's address a couple of super chats real quick, and then we'll get into the information. Batman, you should be resting right now. 199 super chat. He says, "What do you think of the Batman versus Deathstroke being a series?" I think that's the whole pitch, right, Mikey?
That is. Yeah. And I'm. Stay tuned. I will have some pretty significant information
Concerning.
And then it will follow the once we get to the big announcement, you will find out when you will hear that particular
Wow.
nuclear
Okay.
device there.
Okay. Well, we're going to, okay. That's interesting. A couple announcements coming. So Danzig, our guy Dan, with the £3.99 super chat says, small screen reports huge numbers for Zack Snyder's Justice League in China. Mikey, did you hear that? The Justice League,
I saw
the Snyder
that.
Cut's in China.
Yeah, that I saw this morning on Ed's articles. 120 million viewers or something like that. It was huge. I mean, there's a huge audience for Snyder Cut. It looks like China is one of the big audiences for it.
Exactly. It seems to be pretty big. I'm still trying to kind of put numbers together for it, but Edward Lauder, our friend Edward, he's been able to kind of track down some information as well. So very cool that China has a Snyder Cut, and it seems like they're going wild over it. So
well, you know why? It's because it's long form storytelling is why, and I think that's a large reason why. It's an epic story, and I think it appeals to the audience there.
Interesting.
So look, there's more legs in that movie still.
Definitely. Shout out to Alexis Denny with the $4.99 super chat just to give us a super chat. Appreciate you just supporting the channel. Definitely. This is as I said the final special brew, but let's kind of get through this this Toby Emmerich. And we got some updates for y'all. We'll definitely get to that as we go.
Yeah.
But with this, so Mikey, so I don't know if you saw this article before I sent it to you earlier, but I was like, Toby Emmerich is being floated out there a little bit. Does it as we look through it, does it seem like more of a negotiation type tactic to see if Netflix will want him? Because his contract is up in 2023. Yeah. Is that what you think about that?
I haven't talked to anybody yet, but just from what I know, from what I've been hearing about him in the past, and the situation at Warner Brothers in general, he is looking for the exit door. And
Emmerich is.
Yeah, and this is a public way of negotiation. Basically, you're putting out feelers, hey, are you interested, type of thing. And I think he's letting them know that, hey, I'll be available.
Yeah, it sounds like so you're taking it more of this is an exit strategy instead of a negotiation ploy.
I think it's mostly, for the most part, an exit strategy. But if there is no interest, obviously, he's gonna want to. Any person who's in a contract negotiations always wants a better deal, right? So, but I really do think, and I have to get confirmation on this.
Right.
To me, it's an exit strategy. And to put this out there in public like this as well, because you don't usually hear these things in public, But we discussed before, like with Spider-Gate, how Sony was negotiating in public, because they wanted a better deal from Disney. But I think a large part of this is that he is looking at his future, and he can sense the Titanic sinking.
So go ahead, Mike. I got changed.
But it's funny because a couple of episodes ago, or I don't know which episode it was on, you and I were talking about the regime going away. Remember I said Hamada, and you said, "What about?" I said, "Yeah, and Toby and Anna Asparagus as well." I mentioned that on the air just a few weeks ago, or maybe last week. I lose track of time. But this still falls into the narrative you and I have been discussing about chaos at Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Look, the cards are starting to fall. The house of cards are starting to fall here.
Right.
For this to go out and get out in public like that really says a lot.
This is pretty big, and I know I changed the article, but with the Toby Emmerich, I mean, this was a leak as far as what you see, Mikey. Like this was a leak that some back channels were, and, just seeing, can Toby Emmerich land with another studio? Like this is, I know people look at it and say, okay, was it really a lot of news to this? Well, yeah.
Well, you have to think that it's not just about Netflix. He's telling everybody he might be available. Okay.
Good.
So,
that's a good point right there.
Yeah, because if it was just Netflix, this wouldn't have gone out in public. Okay. This is okay. The equivalent of changing your status on Facebook from in a relationship to
it's
complicated. Exactly.
Oh man, that's what that show, and it was public, right? And so all Toby had to do was say, "Well, hey, I didn't make no call. It wasn't me. It was David Geffen." And,
right? Yeah, I didn't do it.
So
I didn't put your phone number in the bathroom wall.
So I mean, it's like I think it's very clear. On Tinder. I think it's very clear, and I think people, you got to piece this together in a sense. But the fact that this story even got out, I think, is major. And
totally major. Yeah.
The fact that someone floated to Grace Randolph yesterday, I think is pretty major as well, because she kind of promoted this story coming out. So, as we always say, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Yeah. And so Toby, and what you heard, Mikey, is that, hey, maybe he's looking for another landing place.
Let's put it this way: David Geffen put Toby Emmerich's profile on Tinder. Okay.
And coincidentally, his contract is up in 18 months, which that takes it to 2023. The same year Hamada's contract is up. Now, I don't know Ann Cernoff's contract terms. I don't know if they made it public, but I'm going to say maybe it's very similar to this regime. I'm just going to kind of, put it out there.
I'm going to stick to my prediction from a couple episodes ago, and we're going to see regime change pretty soon. And I think the cancellation of the Trench and the New Gods. I remember I was telling you at the time it was a sign.
Yep. I was live, Mikey, when that happened.
And somebody took Walter Hamada's toys away, and those are pretty expensive toys, and what are they going to replace them with, So I really do think that we're going to see regime change. It's brick by brick, still brick by brick.
Right, exactly, and that's really the mantra going forward. Because even let's say if he does make it to the end of his contract, we're still waiting for 2023, just like Hamada, But I believe these sort of things, they kind of end before the contract ends. I would just say, if you're not extended, you're kind of shown out early.
Yeah. So maybe we have an idea that I don't think I'm going to get, renewed or whatever. I mean, you can read the tea leaves here,
Exactly. So Emmerich, I don't blame him from kind of, just having his eye wandering because he hasn't been extended. Yeah.
And I got a feeling that again, I have to make some calls and emails to get some more information because I'm just speculating right now. But I got a feeling that AT&T is kind of looming overhead like a dark cloud over Toby right now.
Interesting. This is a developing story also. I mean, like I said, this was a leak. Like I like to kind of define when information comes out, when like an actual exec comments on it, as opposed to when this was a straight up leak. No one publicly commented on this previous article that I had up. Everyone was like, no. And Netflix was like, nope. And Toby Emmerich's people was like, nah, but so it was very interesting how that article came about. But our friend Dan here says, who would you like to replace Toby? I don't know. Like, is there? I can't think of any exec that I would elevate to that.
Jason Kilar.
Kilar. So you think Kilar? You think this is a Kilar power move, Mikey?
Yeah.
Interesting.
In fact, I'll be shocked if he doesn't get it. So.
Interesting. And hey, y'all kind of heard this here first. Is Jason Kilar the mastermind behind all this? These leaks. We'll see. We'll see what comes on next.
No, okay. Yeah. Regarding this Superman article, what's really funny about this is that you and I have talked about J.J. Abrams being the power mover at DC for weeks now.
Yep.
You know, of course, this article, brings that up, and he doesn't want to direct. He just wants to have a producer role.
Yeah, he has a great production deal.
Yeah.
He's supposed to produce stuff.
Yeah, and make money off it. I mean, but here's the thing, though. He doesn't want to be long term doing DC stuff, and so it's really interesting that they're going to gamble on him. But you know what? They gave him $500 million, so they're going to milk it for all it's worth.
Yeah. They're going to get some projects out of Abrams. That's why, like you said, Mikey, after this 2022 slate, Abrams is going to get his run,
he
whether
will.
you like it or not. They paid him. He's going to get his run.
Yeah, he's going to get his run. So drink up the bourbon and hope for the best.
More bourbon talk when that comes out. So let's get into this again, the Black Superman. One thing I want to kind of get clear, because I neglected to say this on Twitter because people was up in arms about this article. And we'll kind of jump on different parts of this article, but they were a little taken back. They said, the writer of the Black Superman, he's going to do a Kal-El version, a Black Kal-El. Now, Mikey, me and you talked about this about a couple months ago. In the comics, Grant Morrison made Calvin Ellis. He was Kal-El, actually. Yeah. And he became Calvin Ellis. This kind of confirms what you said from the beginning, that it would not be Val Zod. It'll be Calvin Ellis, who is Kal-El on Krypton. He just the black version. This cements that story, right? Yeah,
but not only does it cement that story, but it kind of cements my old bourbon, and I really hope it doesn't come true about the Wakandan Krypton.
The Wakandan Detroit. My God.
I'm sorry, man. When I'm reading it, I'm like, oh no.
It sounds like an idea.
Why is this reminding me of a scoop that was so bad I couldn't write it. And I was like, no, I'm not writing this. And I dropped it on your show, and the chatters are going crazy. Like, what?
They hate it. That was one of the most hated scoops you ever gave.
And I never wrote it. I never told anybody the scoop. It was just so idiotic. But I'm reading this. I'm like, oh no. My spidey sense tingling.
Because they're saying they're going back to Krypton. They said we're trying to get the Kal-El from Krypton, which again, Grant Morrison did make Calvin Ellis Kal-El in the comic. This is comic. This is consistent with what the comics did, but it's also carrying over ideas that maybe Mikey heard before about some bad ideas for this story. So
how much you want to bet it's a Wakandan Krypton? They're going to do it. I just know they're going to do that.
Oh my God!
Idiotic idea from
they
years
better
ago.
not. They better not do that. Let's see. We got a couple of super chats jumping in. Let me catch up real quick here. TJ and Dan, I see your super chat as well. I'll jump up to you. $2 Canadian super chat. Wait, is this Kryptonda Superman, Mikey? Is this?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, Kryptonda forever.
Let's get Dan here. Black Superman is WB virtual signaling while at the same time trying to checkmate Snyder fans. If you come out against that soup, you'll be labeled racist. Well, see, Dan, that's the thing. I mean, this is my stance with this, right? It's like, there is comic book precedence to do a black Superman.
Icon. Just do Icon. Just do Icon.
But it should. It's really Icon, right? But it shouldn't be in spite of the Henry Cavill Superman. That's my problem with this. It's like if you're gonna do both, cool. Like I will actually check this out if you get the right team, with that. But don't take away my Henry Cavill because of this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem that people have. I think that's the main problem. And then as well, if they do that Detroit Kryptonda thing, that's a whole nother level. Dan also has to find out some. He says I'm Mexican. If they tried to make a Mexican Superman under the same circumstances, I'd be against it. Well, yeah, again, don't do it in spite of something else. Do it because you want to make an original story, like your own thing. Cool, right? But don't take away the Henry Cavill. I'm gonna say that all night at this point.
How about this? How about this, Sil? And this just kind of got lost under the radar here. This news dropped on Henry Cavill's birthday.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, you couldn't. Come on,
a Superman story on Henry Cavill's.
Can't be a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. They dropped it on his birthday.
It's like, come on now. That was intentional. I mean, you have Warner Media, people putting out quotes on this article. So I mean, that's not cool.
Everything, happy birthday, Henry Cavill. All of a sudden, this comes out. Hey, we have a new Kal-El. I mean, on his birthday.
No reason for that,
And of course, the Hollywood Reporter again,
Right? Maybe it's because
cash those check.
They knew they had that Toby Emmerich story coming out, so maybe Warner Media had to kind of retort and put out their story, with the Black Superman, which, like we said, Mike, we messaged about this. I learned nothing new from this story, probably except that they actually been bringing in directors, I guess, or talking to different directors. The only director I will want to actually do this, because again, if this is separate. They already said this is Elseworlds in this article. They said this is an Elseworlds story. I would love Shaka King, the director of Judas and the Black Messiah, would be a great director for this film. I think he will make it because he made Frank Hampton like a superhero in Judas and the Black Messiah, which is a great film. It won Daniel Kaluuya an Oscar. So I mean, it's funny because I've seen sites mention it's not in the DCEU. Well, what does the DCEU know anyway? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
What's in the DCEU? It doesn't even matter anyway at this point. Who knows? That's pretty crazy. That's like when that's a headline, like, oh, it's in the DCEU. It's not. DCEU is nothing right now.
Man, imagine like a few months from now, Marvel Studios announces they signed Henry Cavill for Sentry.
And no one will be mad about that, right? Now, I will say, okay, let's address the super chat. I want to get your thoughts on Henry Cavill. Alexis Denny, appreciate you supporting the channel. $4.99 super chat. Because I wonder if Feige's looking at Henry now for a role that this news came out. I mean, that Captain Britain, that was something that was kind of eyeing Henry Cavill, right?
They are still eyeing Henry Cavill. They're eyeing him for Captain Britain, but also for the Sentry. And they haven't stopped eyeing him. So, like I said, Kevin Feige's a very patient man. I mean, they have a wish list of people they do want to work with. So who knows? I mean, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised.
Like this is petty coming out with this Black Superman on Cavill's birthday, on his birthday,
because Henry Cavill's on Tinder now.
Interesting. So, because hey, maybe we'll touch on that. Let's actually before we do that. So, okay, Henry Cavill. So we still are expected at the very least to see Henry Cavill interact with The Rock still, right?
Oh yeah. See, that's why I'm not concerned, because Henry Cavill loves playing Superman, and certainly him teaming up with The Rock is going to bring him a lot more money than being Captain Britain, in my opinion.
Exactly.
At least for the moment.
I'm sure he knows that. Yeah.
He knows that, and besides, it'll be a couple years before we see Captain Britain anyway. So he still has this. He still has this time where he is available.
So that's still an angle, y'all. Because I know I feel like I have to kind of just assure people there's still an angle for Henry Cavill to play Superman, interacting with Black Adam, even as soon as a cameo next summer in the Black Adam film. So let's not let's not forget that.
And let's not forget that. I mean, I'm not sure if this article is the one that points it out, that this isn't the main Superman. I mean, it's an Elseworlds.
It says Elseworlds in this, yeah.
There you go. So so it's not the Superman. However, he is going to be in the Crisis League. So
yeah, Crisis League is coming, y'all. It's coming. I'm glad I put that video.
Yeah, the article doesn't mention it, but come on, where it's headed.
Oh,
right?
It's coming. It's coming.
Abrams being involved with all this DC stuff. Come on.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. That is the Abrams verse. It's at least going to launch. We don't know if it's going to, stick the landing. That's J.J. Abrams for you, right? So he's going to, he's going to launch this Black Superman Crisis League, whatever they pull together for that. And
if it does take place, if it is a period piece, I wouldn't be shocked if this film is set in the 60s with all the Martin Luther King.
I was thinking that they lean towards the 20th century. They lean towards it. So like the 1990s basically. But they said it's still fluid, according to this article. It's still fluid.
Which means there's no script yet. Yeah,
they have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
We don't know what the hell we're doing.
It's just let's just make it very clear. They don't know what they're doing.
There's a map here somewhere.
And they say this in this article, so it may change, but this is the plan, but it may change. So it's like, oh my God. So what are we doing? So I'm done with this article, right?
It reminds me of guys who are too macho to ask for directions, right? Well, I don't know, just follow the sun over here. That's the east,
That's Warner Brothers for you, right? So let's address the super chat. Kevin Feige with a $2 Canadian super chat. Ghost Rider. You know what that means, Mikey.
All
when they say Ghost Rider, what do you think they're talking about? Zack Snyder, Ghost Rider.
Zack Snyder. After Army of the Dead comes out, just watch out.
Talking about a tender.
Oh boy! Oh my God!
He's the hottest person on the market right there.
Numero uno on Tinder, man. Most requested.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know how it works, but something like that.
So, Mike, we're transitioning to. We're gonna get to because the chat has really, it was a good boost. We had Robert Meyer Burnett here, very fun. Probably many more interactions we'll have with him. Very cool guy. We're at 130 likes right now.
All right, keep it going.
So they showed up early before this, and part of the advertising, Mikey, was that you would have a school. Part of the advertising was hey, Mikey, we'll have a school. Yeah, appreciate you, Dan. Dan is awesome. He's awesome. What? Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so HBO Max. Let's talk HBO Max.
Let's talk HBO Max.
Let's move in the HBO Max direction. They are under pressure to build more content, and using their existing familiar IPs to create that content. And what Meyer Burnett was saying earlier about how, Warner Brothers looks at Disney across the street and said, "Hey, I want to be like you." They're saying Disney Plus, and you know they're freaking out, man. They see all this. Like it was announced today that Wednesday there'll be a new Marvel. Every Wednesday there'll be a new Marvel show, and then every Friday there'll be a new Star Wars show. If I got that correctly, on Disney Plus.
On a new
On,
show?
on Disney Plus. It's how their schedule will be going forward in the future.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays will have like Loki, when that premieres, it'll premiere on a Wednesday. Then on a Friday, there's a new Star Wars
Star Wars show because they're doing like
new
10,
episode. Yeah,
they're
new
doing so many
episode.
series.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like wall to wall shows. I mean, it's almost like network television, right? Where you have. I remember when I was a kid, I think Thursdays was a big day 'cause they had Cheers and Cosby Show on there or something like that.
Right.
We're going way
Thursday's
back.
Cosby
Deep cut. Okay. So, Disney Plus is kind of, going to do that with their content, and there's so much coming on, man. They have all these Star Wars shows coming on. And again, Disney, HBO Max, what do they have?
Like Zeus says right here, Disney Plus has that 1-2 punch. Wednesdays, Marvel, Friday, Star Wars. They're going to be winning for years.
That's a deadly knockout punch. Yeah. That's like
it's very effective.
That's like Bane and Crossbones, ganging up on you. You know what I mean?
Man.
So don't be surprised if the next couple of months I'm scooping like mad. Right, because there's so much gossip right now about new shows that they're tossing in the air, not even being developed yet. They're just tossing names out like, "Hey, how about this? How about that?"
Bad Batch was awesome.
Besides the J.J. Abrams, I mean, J.J. has more DC shows coming besides J.L. Dark. Just let you guys know, there's more coming.
Yeah.
They didn't give him $500 million for nothing, okay? So, like, JJ, what can you tell us about our own comic books that we don't even read, right?
Yep, B and C list characters. That's what JJ is going to pump out.
I will have more information on this. I just heard this today. So it's very bare bones. Obviously, Geekosity Mag will have a full story on this sometime next week, maybe. I don't know, once I get more information. What I'm hearing is that HBO Max wants an Arkham Asylum show.
Oh, whoa. I wasn't expecting that one. Wait a minute. Arkham Asylum. So Batman, is that what we're talking about?
Well, okay. My question to my insider this morning, I said, will this be based on the Grant Morrison graphic novel?
I'm like, what?
I mean, that I remember in the early 90s that blew me away. And obviously we're seeing more Grant Morrison in DC projects now. I mean, look at the Black Superman and the Flash. Come on. It's so much of that. The whole multiverse stuff that we're hearing is, the Crisis League. I mean, it's Grant Morrison influence, right? So,
right.
So, I was told that the Arkham Asylum graphic novel will be influenced on this series, but not a direct adaptation of it because it's a series. It's not like Arkham Asylum wasn't much of a story. It was Dave McKean's artwork really that really highlighted that graphic novel. Although the Joker has some pretty sick lines in there.
Will they really use them for that? I don't know.
Yeah. And so anyway, I had to ask. I said, okay, so the Joker is going to be in it. And yeah, the Joker is the primary character in this.
What's Joker, Mikey?
And so,
I haven't heard this yet. So I hope everybody know. I don't know what Mike is gonna say.
Oops, gotta go. No, just kidding. No, they do want Jared Leto to be
Oh my goodness.
the Joker. In fact, that might be the casting that actually green lights the show. But they want to make this a horror series, like the horrors of psychosis, and
Me
whether
too, I
Batman
guess.
will be in it or not, I don't know. I mean, I'll like I said,
If they have Joker, that's good enough. If they
but
have
I'm going to
Leto
get
Joker.
I'm going to get more information on this. So
Oh my
I can't
God.
confirm that Leto is in it. I'm just saying that,
Right.
but he is probably the main reason why this show would
Bro.
be greenlit. By next week, because my insider is going to get more information, and like I said, it's brand new. They just said that has been recently brought up, and they're seeing high potential on this as a horror series. And we've never seen a horror Arkham Asylum before.
No.
We obviously Arkham Asylum was in the Gotham show. It was pretty dark, but this is an actual horror, like very creepy thing that they want to do, and it's perfect for streaming. So it'll be an R-rated Arkham Asylum series.
Oh my goodness, man!
With Batman's Rogues Gallery.
My goodness.
On the show.
Oh man!
So stay tuned.
You got people hype in the chat,
tuned.
Mikey. Let's address this real quick.
I will go further next week with this. Yeah.
We got Psychasthenia 7 $10 super chat just because that was such an awesome drop that you gave here for the final special brew. We've been kind of pushing this, right? And people's like, what's going on? Like, what's is the band over, right? So let me I'm gonna kind of just let people know, Mike, and you'll explain this as we go, right? So let's kind of put it out there, right? Because that's major, the Jared Leto possibility. But
yeah.
Arkham Asylum is a series that HBO Max wants to, go forward with.
Yeah.
Developing.
At least develop. Let's develop. Yeah.
Interesting. So let's let people know, because I don't want to have too much suspense about my platform going forward, right? So I'm gonna put it out there, and I'm gonna throw it back to Mikey in just a moment here. So going forward, like I said, the final special brew.
Before you do it, one more thing I forgot to mention this.
Let me get you back over.
Okay. The Arkham Asylum graphic novel from 1991, I believe, had one of the sickest Joker lines I ever read. And I have to share this with the audience for those who haven't read it. If I recall correctly, the Joker has taken over Arkham Asylum, right?
Right.
And this guy on the outside is asking about his wife, who's in the asylum. I think she works there or something like that. And he's asking the Joker, like, how's my wife? How is she doing? And the Joker's like, oh, she's fine. She's doing great. And all of a sudden, the Joker starts cackling. He goes, no, I lied. Your wife's dead. Your baby's a spastic. Like,
crazy.
Really sick. Wait, go ahead. So sorry. I guess I bring that up.
No, it's cool. No, definitely. Because more details. Like people saying it's a Snyderverse. It's not. We'll have more details next week, right?
That's more details. Yeah.
So we'll definitely get into that. But let's, because I like I said, I don't want to keep people guessing about going forward with the platform, right? So going forward, first off, like I said, final special brew. The format that we have right now is coming to an end. Also, with other categories on my channel, Coffee Talk will live on. That's my chance to kind of talk to y'all one-on-one, and sometimes have guests, and things like that. So that will continue. Also, this is the last time I'm at Studio X. I'm going back home tomorrow. so that's going to be another final Studio X streaming. So it's good that Mikey was here as well. But As far as my platform going forward, we thought it makes sense, the team that I talked with, and to streamline things, right? And we want to really, going forward, to really make it clear that our commentary and journalism is, it's not like the same rules that the access media uses or the trades, right? Like, we want to actually change the game. We want to change the status quo, and I think we've done that. Just with our little footprint growing now. I think about what Batfleck said to Alfred. In BVS says, we're criminals, Alfred. We always have been. Right? So going forward, this platform is going to be more of DC coverage. Going a little rogue, right? So introducing going forward next week, starting a new platform, or I should say a series on this channel still, Rogues Gallery. We're criminals to Warner Brothers and the execs, to the access media. And yes, it still includes the trollmakers. Mikey is still involved with this going forward. Every Thursday going forward, Mikey, what is so different about this going forward? Because people's like Special Brew, like that's that's something, but like what's going to be different going forward?
Yeah, there's actually a couple of things. I just wanted to thank all the viewers out there. When I started broadcasting with Sil, I had a feeling he and I would have good chemistry together. But it's really taken off. I have so much fun being on his show. And so a week ago, I said, Sil, let's time to kind of make this formal, like a formal partnership. Mm-hmm. And let's go ahead and do a show together. And I was trying to think of a name that's associated mostly with DC. But also the fact that we're both troublemakers, and I'm a big fan of the Flash comic book, and that's why I first heard this term, Rogues Gallery, and I'm like, you know what? There you go. There's a name right there. How perfect is it? Mm-hmm. So, every Thursday, Sil and I will do a new episode of Rogues Gallery. Now, there's some different things with this. It's not the same as before. Number one, I'll be dropping bombs on this show before they're even on the site.
Exclusives.
Yep, exclusives. So you guys really have to tune in. There's going to be some gossip stuff that, I know I have talked about gossip here before, but not to the level of how much I usually get. I leave stuff out. And the gossiping stuff, I don't usually talk about on Geekosity. I do scoops, but a lot of the insider deep cut stuff, like, oh, he said this, he said that, or I usually don't write about that. Because, I go after a general readership with the site, but with this show, you guys are all fans. You guys are really, you guys want to know everything, right?
Hardcore, like, DC, behind the scenes, everything.
You want to know what Walter Hamada had for breakfast this morning.
Exactly.
Did he have a Hamada, egg sandwich? Who knows?
Right.
So that's one of the things I want to do. Another thing that I want to do with Sil is to have very special celebrity guests on the show. Yes. And I am going to invite DC people that I personally know. Some writers and artists, editors, celebrities, people behind the scenes. I'll be inviting on here, and we're going to sit down and have a coffee talk with all these people. And like I said, and we're gonna blow this shit up, man.
It's gonna be huge, man.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be very interesting going forward. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that we would, you know, that we would get here, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so I'm glad that we're that, you know, we both agreed this is the best way to go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think in any good relationship, you know, you gotta, you know, be like, you know, you gotta stay with what works, right? So I think everyone loves the interaction me and Mikey has, and with his connections, with just, you know, my platform that I tried to build up. This is an ideal partnership, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with this, with more guests. With it's gonna be every Thursday, so everyone just realize it's gonna be once a week, starting off. Once a week. Now, who knows? When I do other coffee talks, maybe Mikey would jump in. We don't know.
Yeah.
But we're gonna say once every week, Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all find y'all time with that. That's gonna be like clockwork every week. Yeah. And hey, you know, we'll see how that expands, how that goes. But I'm very excited for the potential guests that me and Mikey talked about, because that's one thing that people ask me on my channel, Mikey. It's like, why don't you get? They see these other, you know, actors going to these other YouTubers, and I've kind of shied away from that personally because I wanted to kind of build up a, you know, relationship with my viewers. But like Mikey's really convinced me, and other people is saying like it's kind of time to kind of take that next level, right? And this is going to be really cool going forward. Now we had a couple of super chats, Mikey, as we was announcing this, so I want to catch up to this and get people's sentiments on this this new venture going forward. Things have changed. So don't call me Wave 499 says, well, the Arkham games, we're going back to your Arkham school because it's a lot more to that, but go ahead.
I tell you what, when the first episode of Rogues Gallery, I will have the information that you are seeking. I actually don't know the answer to your question right now. So what I will by the time Rogues Gallery is on the air. So I'll let you guys know.
So we'll see. Let's see. It's another super chat I want to catch. Dan Lazaro, appreciate you again supporting this platform and keep supporting us going forward. Just, you know, just watching Rogues Gallery, and we are criminals, Alfred. Every Thursday, Dan Lazaro, the $5 super chat says Batman is the most popular character in fiction. Joker is second. The fact that WB isn't utilizing them across their shows and movies proves WB are clowns. But as you said, Mikey, maybe in a series format, they may use both. Possibly.
Yeah. Very, very, very possible.
Possibly. I'll just say that. Possibly.
Yeah, very possible.
So we will see. Let's see. I think it's one more I need to catch before we catch up with the chat here. Let's see. So we got a few people. They like Rose Gallery because with me, it's funny because Sascott says they're Super Team Megaforce. When James Party in the chat, when he first told me that name, I was like, James, I hate it, right? And like everyone loves Super Team Megaforce. Like I'm terrible with like ideas and like names, and so I'm glad y'all come up with them, right? Super Team Megaforce is a thing. That's and Mikey, if you want to kind of clarify that, we're still going to show up on Super Team Megaforce. Of course, I think that's every other Friday, right?
Yeah, Super Team Megaforce, we will still be on there. Here's the thing: it's a different format than what they have, and I think it's really cool that Syl and I have basically part of two shows that have very different formats. Super Team Megaforce is more of the hyperkinetic, crazy Arkham Asylum gang of misfits.
That's pretty wild. We have a blast every time we go there.
But this show, we're going to continue being the laid back coffee talk. So, but you know what? One of the reasons why I felt it was great to announce this today is because today's show is exactly where we're going in terms of format. We had Meyer Burnett. We had a pretty big YouTube personality on the show today. Going forward, you're going to see more of this, and we will have interview with a celebrity. Then afterwards, Scylla and I will have our coffee talk style format.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the difference is you're going to see more of what I'm dropping today. You're going to see more scooping, more insider talk. Be very organized. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not going to do the free form that we used to do before. But
Right.
obviously, we will answer all your super chats and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
in a way, to me, it's a tightening up the format and giving it a proper name.
Exactly. Yes. Tighten up the format and really,
Yeah.
because like you said, Mikey. It used to be like some coffee talks. Mikey would come in and we
Yeah.
just kind of like shoot the shit a little bit, right? Like, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
Mikey's here. Let's talk. But now
Yeah.
we're gonna really. Mikey's gonna be really prepared starting off every
Yeah.
Thursday. Mikey's gonna have bombs every Thursday.
Bombs,
all right?
gossip, like we want to give you guys notice what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like we go into the show and we just kind of freestyle.
Right.
But at least I'll be prepared for sure.
Yeah, and that works for the freeform works for now, but then we realized like, hey, let's kind of let's kind of direct our blows a little better.
Yeah,
with
more
the
focused.
information.
Yeah.
And I think you were saying if you want to talk about this as far as after we do like your drops, your exclusive, because again, this won't be published before Mikey talks about it, on Thursdays. And I'm not guaranteeing a Geekosity article after every video, but you're setting up possibly like a recap of our shows after every Thursday. So
after this there'll be a recap there. That way you guys can see a text version of what we discussed. And one of the things I want to do with Syl as well is to go over all the week's news. Not just mine, but from the trades and from other sites, and we will tell you what we think of them. But what I also want to do is to give you guys some extra information on those news. Like what do
just
I
like
know?
Today, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, this is a perfect setup because we didn't, obviously we didn't plan these articles to be out today, right? But this is really a template on what you're going to get from Rogues Gallery going forward because we're going to see through the BS of if Hollywood Reporter comes out with something that's not really, with the Black Superman and they're kind of retelling information that's already out there. That's really what that article was, if people don't realize that, right? But the Toby Emmerich article was solid because Ken Masters is pretty solid with Hollywood Reporter. So that's the commentary and journalism we're going to give y'all every week. So very excited. We're still troublemakers, Frank. We're still troublemakers. That's Rose Gallery, right?
I'm going to give you an example. We might as well give you a sneak peek of what
let's do it.
Of what Rogues Gallery is going to be like. Also, just to answer James, it's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday.
Someone asked about because we TJ says Edward he streams later, so basically our show will be done before small screen because we may end up over there too. Like so, every Thursday, if time permits. We may join Edward sometimes too, but it won't be any cross streaming. We're all part of the same team. So yeah. Go ahead, Mikey.
And so when Marvel Studios had that trailer a day or two ago, which had footage from Eternals, and had Shang-Chi footage in there, it showed the Captain Marvel 2 film being called The Marvels. And so that would be the news. That would be the news. Hey, Captain Marvel 2 is called The Marvels. Okay. Now, unfortunately, check this out. I knew this would happen. A bunch of sites and other YouTube channels, I won't mention any names, ran the false narrative that, Marvel Studios hates Brie Larson, so they're calling it the Marvels instead. And
no.
she's not the star. No, that's completely bogus. Okay,
It's Captain Marvel too. Yeah.
it's Captain Marvel too. Brie Larson is not being faded out. Sorry, she's not.
No.
If you don't like her, just don't watch it. Then
She's here to stay. She's here to stay.
Yeah, exactly. And I scooped years ago that Marvel Studios wants to continue doing team up films. I mean, if you notice, it's becoming more and more of a trend because they have all these characters at their disposal, and people want to see more characters in there. So calling it the Marvels is actually a very creative way of marketing this film because you have 3 Marvel girls in there, or Marvel ladies. You have Captain Marvel,
That's
you
perfect.
have Miss Marvel, yeah, and then you have the Captain Marvel from WandaVision. She was called Captain Marvel back in the 80s.
So they set up Monica Rambeau really perfectly with this series too. So they got, and then Miss Marvel will be out before then. So yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So
Lethal Weapon. Okay. Yeah, Lethal Weapon is what I call.
Why.
I call. Yeah.
That's pop culture minefield.
Yeah. No, they're the Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. We couldn't take their name.
No, Scylla and I are going to fuck in the Winter Soldier.
Right, we're more Sam and Bucky than anything.
Exactly.
People are appreciating the name. Again, I'm terrible with naming things, so I'm glad Mikey came up with this name.
If go on Google and look up Flash Rogues Gallery, you see exactly where this came from.
And then realize that's how the Hamada train sees us. That's the whole point.
We're going after the Hamada train. Won't be pleasant.
Now I want to make sure. Let's see. I have a super chat I do not want to miss. Philip Castillo with $4.99 super chat says, "Sorry, I'm late. Joker and Rose Gallery is restored the Snyderverse break by break." So as far as again that Arkham, because I didn't know about that. I didn't know about this Arkham story.
And I want to get your live reaction to see. I love doing that. I love you not knowing because I know I'll get a reaction from you.
I tell you, man, like that's interesting, and I'm looking forward to next week, the premiere episode of Rose Gallery, and I'm gonna make it clear to people. Like I said, Coffee Talk will still be a thing, mostly Tuesdays or Wednesdays. I may still do my reaction videos, like when we got these articles pop up, like we had today. So it'll still be the same format for SYLABDUL Inc. But when it comes Thursday, like that's the big ticket show. Every week, we want y'all to, if there's one stream you catch of this channel, we want you to be here Thursday for Rogues Gallery, because we know Warner Brothers is watching. But Dr. O with the fuck,
they are. Right?
He says, I think if WB did a Hawkman movie like Burton Batman, it'll become WB's Hawkman. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how Aldous Hodge does.
Yeah, if they do a Hawkman film, like really dark and like, okay, there was a graphic novel called Hawk World back in the late 80s, I believe it was. It was a very dark version of a Hawkman. They made that into, that's game over. I doubt it. Not with this regime. I don't think so.
Interesting. So we will see.
Let me tell the viewers out there. My ultimate goal, one of my ultimate goals for Syl and for this channel is to get more subscribers. I think if you haven't subscribed by now, please subscribe. We're doing a lot of things, and don't be surprised. I'm gonna surprise Syl with this. Don't be surprised if I get breaking news or something, and I tell Syl, let's go on the air. And the only way you can find out is if you're subscribed, and you don't want to miss the special episodes.
And I do want to put too, Mikey. With this channel, we're going to open up the membership videos. More details as we go, but it'll be times where me and Mikey would do an exclusive membership videos. So kind of stay tuned to that going forward. But it's really Mikey is all in, okay, with this platform. So we're gonna be very excited. But like you were saying, Mikey, like if you get like breaking information, what was you saying with that?
Yeah. So once in a while, and in fact, I'm going to shock you with this because because I was once in a while to get more subscribers, and also because I just love being spontaneous. I do this to TiVo all the time. TiVo, be my listener today, So I just tell him that I'm going to tell Sil. So I got this breaking scoop. You want to go live today? And my idea was, and I'm being completely transparent with all of you guys, is not to promote it on social media. Instead, you will find out about it because you're subscribed and you get a notification that we're going on the air. So this is why it's important that you guys subscribe to this channel, because you never know. You never know because we might go on the air for like 10 minutes just to say something.
Exactly.
And you guys want to be notified, so
and like I said, we'll see. Like I said, it will be. We're still playing with the idea of the membership option, but I think there'll be a really nice gift to people who's really supporting the platform to really get that breaking news from Mikey, because me and him is really in this partnership, to bring out his information and then you kind of get the article after Mikey breaks it on the channel, or if it's some gossip, we'll kind of chat about the industry. So very excited. We got Mr. West Ashley saying, yo, what's up to you as well? Appreciate you checking out this channel live. The future is pretty bright, y'all, for this format. So, if we could reiterate, Mikey, every Thursday.
Yeah. And I just also want to reiterate that we're not leaving Super Team Megaforce.
No, not at all.
We're happily proud of the group that James Simon put together with Ed Lauder and all of us, and it's always a blast being on there. And what we're doing here is completely different. Over there, we just we go crazy on that show.
Oh, Super Team Member, like people that's been over. I know I see Jay and Dan and everyone in the chat. Y'all know how Super Team Megaforce goes. Like we go over there, we have a ball.
We just have a ball. That's more like like our recess time. Like go there and hang out with the dudes.
And shout out to James. He's really put that team together.
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah,
it's
exactly.
growing with Clint and Peter, and so we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that.
Rose Gallery is when Sil and I put our suits on,
Depending on who we have, I may have a suit on.
It's Super Team Megaforce. He put our Hamada Burger shirts on,
Yeah, so definitely.
It will be interesting. Thank you so much. I also want to add that I'll still be appearing on various YouTube channels, but the content I bring to Sil will be completely unique to this channel. I'm not gonna. It'll be exclusive to this show. So you're not gonna
more DC, right? That's
more DC and more DC. When it comes to like news and stuff, yeah, we will cover. Like, let's say Marvel Studios announces a Warlock movie. We will discuss that and stuff.
We'll sandwich that in.
Exactly. But mostly DC though. Mostly DC.
There'll be a lot from the perspective, just because of myself and the viewers here. We're hardcore DC, and we some cool stuff, some mythic stuff, from DC. But we'll sandwich stuff in as we go. So it's gonna be very interesting. Well, to answer Danzig right again. I think more with me and Mikey, because I know we kind of talked about this before too, it'll be more the membership side on the YouTube side of like exclusive videos for me and Mikey. I think that's the best way just going forward, just so we can kind of plan better on the platform instead of kind of splitting it out, with the Patreon. Patreon is still going to do its thing with the production info. I'm gonna have some exclusive videos, even if I tap Mikey for some Patreon stuff, but membership is going to kind of be the push going forward for those impromptu videos, when Mikey's talking about. So it's going to be very, very exciting going forward.
We have a list of people that I'll be inviting to the show. I can't share it with you. I can't make it public yet, but let's just say that exciting times ahead. And even still doesn't know who I'm planning on.
I'm telling you, like I'm like, and like you said, Mikey, like just like what you saw today with Robert Meyer Burnett and Mikey, that's pretty much going to be the show.
Yeah,
but Mikey is really going to be bringing a lot of bombs on top of that.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
We want guests on that level. No, really exciting times ahead. Yeah. I'm really enjoying going on YouTube. It's just such a pleasure for me, especially to interact with all of you live. I mean, it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 2 PST time. Find our time zone. It's gonna be like clockwork every week. You're gonna see a scheduled video. We're gonna plan who's gonna be there. We'll see how the guests come together. But it's gonna be Syl and Mikey Sutton, every Thursday. And we'll see if there's any pop-up videos as we go, right? But
the troublemaker and the black guy.
It's gonna be it's still hashtag some black guy every week, and like I said, I appreciate y'all, again, APAS. Appreciate y'all, again, supporting, like I said, the coffee talk. There'll be more of my chance to kind of connect with y'all directly, and I'm still going to have like my own exclusives for the membership as well. I'm still kind of getting that all together, but it's going to be pretty cool, going forward. But Mikey kind of gave me a good push. Mikey gave me a good push to kind of go to another level for my platform, and so I'm very excited. That Mikey chose this platform to kind of make it his own in a sense. So I appreciate that.
Well, I've always felt, Syl, that you have, such great potential, and that's why I started contacting you to begin with. I mean, I discovered your show by accident. 'Cause I was looking for people who were talking about me. And when I first started your show, like, man, this guy needs more viewers. He's amazing. Your infectious energy, and I just, Robert Meyer Burnett said about me about being positive. That's you, man. You're a very positive voice in the DC community, and I think people need this. They need some faith, Alfred Faith, but but just some cool vibes, man. Just like
That's awesome. It's awesome. So I didn't want, like I said, I don't want to scare anyone with this. I didn't want to troll y'all too hard with this announcement. But I mean, it's going to be, like I said, just a streamline to my channel, and we'll still pop up, like as far as with the coffee talk or whatever, when it needs to. But just book it every week, every Thursday. Me and Mikey, the same time, same bat time. Every week. It's gonna be pretty fun. So, Mikey, any last words you want to give the chat before?
Last words. So next Thursday is the first episode of Rogues Gallery, and I'll be fully loaded with nuclear bombs. But trust me on that. I mean, I'm
trying to tell y'all. And now, so Rogues Gallery. So just to make it clear, so like I said, it's me and Mikey, of course. The exclusive producer of Rogues Gallery is that James guy. So he's gonna have his thumbprint over that entire show, right? As far as the look and the feel. So I'm very excited what he's going to come up with. It's going to feel totally different, right? That show is going to be a premiere event every week. So looking forward to that. And like I said, Mikey is going to be bringing it. He's going to be bringing it every week. And, I'll just try to, keep up with what we do. But potential, y'all, it's so much potential going forward. We're going to go ahead and head on out of here. One last time to the special brew tune, and appreciate everyone again supporting this channel up to this point. I'll have more details about the membership going forward as well. Exciting times, y'all. Exciting time. We will see y'all
definitely
for sure next Thursday. Me and Mikey, and I may pop up, to say hi before then. But y'all take care. This is still the Trollmakers. That's Scuba Supreme, Mikey Sutton. This is my last time at
Thank
Studio
you all.
X. I'm going back home. Right? And I'm still hashtag
Woohoo.
some black guy. We out of here.